I feel like I've seen you out there a lot in the past couple of months. Give everybody who maybe hasn't gotten to hear from you yet a little background about your story, because you spent decades supporting the Democrat Party, and here you are on my show talking to me. What's going on?
Well, I've been watching your show despite the fact that I used to be a Democrat. You've been everywhere, and congratulations on your new show. I am
Oh,
so
thank
excited.
you. Thank you so much.
You're gonna rock it. I can't wait to see it.
I'm going to work hard for you. Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. You effortlessly shine. I think you're gonna be great. So I've been a Democrat for much of my adult life, for all of my adult life. And so this has been a harrowing, traumatizing time for me. I didn't plan it like this at all. I tried to reform things from the inside. But I've been going to war with the left faction of Democratic Party for years now. I went to war with the Bernie Bros because
Yeah.
I'm done with the socialism, woke, trans insanity, right? So I don't think it has any place in American society. But that's just one of the many reasons why I'm done with the Democrats. Not to mention the fact that they set $2.5 billion on fire. And you were RNC co-chair. You
Yeah.
understand how important it is to safeguard donor money, to make sure that we are good stewards of the money of the money of the hardworking people of America. So, and they completely desecrated that. They spent, for example, like millions of dollars on Oprah, an oligarch,
Oh
a
my
billionaire,
gosh. Yeah.
and then Beyonce, and it just goes on and on and on. And so why should we trust Democrats with our taxpayer money if they can't even handle campaign funds?
I couldn't agree with you more. And by the way, what you're talking about being a good steward of the money, it's one of the first things that I thought about as soon as I became RNC co-chair. If I'm asking people out there to donate even $20 to the Trump campaign, I want to be a good steward of that money. I want to make sure that that money goes farther than it's ever gone before. So we went through and we reviewed all of our vendors. We made sure people weren't getting kickbacks. We made sure that the money people were giving us went to the highest and best use. But I know that you finally, after Donald Trump won, publicly called out the Democrat Party. And I think it probably had a lot to do with this. You called Kamala's campaign a $1 billion disaster. And you said that Democrat donors were misled. So where was the final straw for you? Because I can see how frustrating that it probably could have become for people within the Democrat Party. Because if I was a person who raised money for this party, really believed in some of the things that at one time they were talking about, it's very hard, Lindy, to then come out and say, you know what, I was wrong. What I've thought for so long is wrong. Where was the final straw for you, and what finally made you say, you know what, I've got to go public with this, and I've got to talk about, the problems that I have with this party?
That's such a good question, Lara. Thank you so much. And it is very hard. And I just want to say this has been one of the most difficult times of my life. I didn't plan it like this at all. I slept 1 hour last night. I actually slept one
My
hour
God,
just like an hour ago because
you
I've
poor
been
thing.
inundated with hate. Um, it's actually there. I just want to say 99% of MAGA, of the people who support Donald Trump, they're phenomenal people. Unfortunately, you probably know who I'm talking about too. We don't have to name them, but there's like a fringe who have undermined President Trump, gone against his wishes, undermined his agenda for their own ends, and they spread lies about me. And it's just very, very hard. And here I am trying to I like Casey Crosby, for instance. I've been in touch with her, trying to figure out how I can get my donors on board. I'm working hard to make sure that I'm doing what I can to make the case that Donald Trump, the America First agenda, is actually the one we should have been supporting all along. And a lot of my donors have come around to that. But still, it's very hard to deal with the lies and the conspiracies about me. And I don't know what to do other than to just go through the pain. It's just almost like a train. Just the only way out is through, and that's what I'm trying to do, to work hard and just keep on keeping on. And over time, ultimately, no one can deny the fact that I will be an asset to the team.
Well, let me just say this. First of all, no one knows more than those of us in the Trump family that sometimes the lows can be very low and it can feel very isolating, and you can feel like you're completely alone. I mean, there was once upon a time not too long ago, Lindy, where I could look around and it was really a handful of us that would be there standing beside Donald Trump, no matter what was going on. And so I can appreciate everything you're saying right now. And I think it's very hard to, when you're not a person who's been used to a lot of media scrutiny and being out in front of people, the first time people attack you, it's shocking. I mean, for us in the Trump family, I'll tell you, moments after Donald Trump came down the golden escalator in June of 2015 in Trump Tower, I mean, I was not prepared for it. I don't know that any of us in our family were prepared for it. But what I'll tell you right now is if you always stay true to yourself, to your heart, you know deep down what is right and what is the right path for
Absolutely.
you will get through it. And I feel so sorry. I'm so sad to hear that you're having to go through all of this, but I'll leave you with this thought. The highs never feel as good if you don't have the lows.
That's
And
so
so
true. You need the contrast.
yeah, you're in it now, but I'm telling you, the you may be hearing only the negative out there. There's so many people, Lindy, who are like, "Thank you for speaking up. Thank you." You're probably inspiring a lot of people to do the same thing,
Oh,
whether or not you know it.
Oh, and there's so many Trump supporters emailing me, writing me
Oh,
letters, and I read every one of them. If anyone's listening, yes, I do, and I try to write
oh,
back as much as I can. And some of them send me daily Bible verses. It's just, and there's just so much love, and
yeah.
I just ask myself, honestly, where the hell was I? Why didn't I come around sooner? And I
Well,
think a lot of it has to do with how I grew up. It's so critical. Those college years, I'm thinking back, like, how did I get myself into this mess? And
right.
I really think it started with Obama. Like, I went to college the year Obama was elected, and it was unacceptable to not be on the bandwagon, to not be
Hmm.
all hopey and changey. You remember that, the 2008 hysteria.
Right.
And yeah, and it just took me more than a decade to come home because I grew up in a Christian conservative household. So this is kind of like a full circle moment for me.
Well, and you know what's interesting about Obama is I remember when he was elected, and I remember thinking, you know what? This is actually something that could be a great moment for this country because here you have the first Black man elected as president of the United States. Look at what that means for our country. Look at the past our country's had, how far we've actually come, and the opportunity that every person out there in America would have to look at what's happened and say, anything is possible in America. If you want it, you can make it happen in this country. And unfortunately, things maybe didn't go the way that I thought, or some people thought they might have gone with Obama. But that aside, I don't think anybody blames a lot of people for kind of jumping in with both feet to that because it was a very inspiring time, even
Yeah.
for those of us who didn't vote for Obama.
Yeah, I was essentially a kid. I feel almost hoodwinked. I
Yeah.
bought into it. And within, I think, a year or two, he let everyone down. Like it didn't even happen slowly. It happened very quickly. Like the
Yeah.
disenchantment set in. So it's just really hard. It's really hard. And then I live in a crime-ridden city run by an extremely progressive George Soros funded prosecutor. And I go out on the street and I get, it's happened a number of times. People get assaulted. I've gotten assaulted just by standing there listening to
Oh my
music.
God.
It's just something
Wait,
that no American should be dealing with.
are you
But
in New York?
I'm in Philadelphia. Do you see the
Oh,
Ben Franklin statue?
oh, look at you. Okay. All right. And
Yeah.
that's terrible. And by the way, this is what we want to fix. We want to get our country back. We want our great American cities, Lindy, to be safe to walk around in and to be
Not get
beautiful.
killed or, be
Yeah.
down. Simple
Imagine that.
minimum. And that is why I've been so vocal about supporting President Trump's immigration policies. And I think it's important, even just today, this morning, I was on Newsmax just saying he's doing a, stand-up job. As a naturalized immigrant, I'm a naturalized immigrant. My family and I moved here from England. We waited. We filled out the forms. We didn't jump in line. Like, seriously, the least you can do. And then we come here and we built a massive business. We created hundreds of Americans' jobs. This is the way it should be done. We shouldn't be taking handouts from people. We shouldn't be getting free cash from the taxpayers. This is just Donald Trump has returned America to the way it should be. It's a privilege to be here. You're not owed the right to be here. It's a privilege, and you got to wait, and not everyone is entitled to it.
Yeah, you've got to do it the right way. There's a right way and a wrong way, and it's been done the wrong way for far too long, and our country's suffering because of it. And now we have someone who wants to get it back to the way it was intended, and so we're very hopeful. I want to ask you this though. Having the background that you do and having been so immersed in Democrat politics, give me an idea about what it was like. I'm always so curious about this because I know what it was like on our side. But what was it like behind the scenes, sort of in your circles after the Biden-Trump debate?
Oh my
And
God, I was there, Lara. I was there.
tell me about that. And then when
Atlanta
they
that night?
made the switch, yeah, for Harris, because both of those things, I think for those of us on the inside in the Republican Party, we were like, wait a minute, give me your feedback. How was that for you? For years, customers have been asking if My Pillow sells cross necklaces like the one Mike Lindell proudly wears every day. Well, guess what? You're in luck. They are excited to announce that Mike has partnered with a jeweler right here in the USA to create beautiful sterling silver My Crosses. You can save 30% today using promo code Trump at mypillow.com and click on the radio podcast square or call 800-624-3945 and be sure to use promo code Trump. You can choose from the women's or men's style and make sure you do it soon because this amazing offer won't last long. Just go to mypillow.com and click on the radio podcast square or call 800-624-3945 and use promo code Trump.
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, were you in Atlanta the night of the debate?
Yes, I was there.
Absolute meltdown. Absolute meltdown. And so Biden has seen me countless times. We've had many discussions. Something happened in his brain that night. He's like, tell your husband I said hi. I don't currently have a husband.
Oh, good.
So I was just like, yes, sir, thanks. Like, you can't contradict something like that. So that was, things were going well. So, but it was an absolute meltdown. We had no leader. It was a vacuum for a month. And then on July 13th, President Trump had the assassination attempt, and we were texting that day. The election was over. No way you can beat this man.
Wow.
He became a legend in that moment if he wasn't before.
Absolutely. There's no doubt.
Like him. For example, Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg is not known to be a long-term, Trump fan, but even he came out with a tweet and said it was badass. It truly was. The way that he had the self-possession to not freak out. I would be freaking out.
I think most people probably would. So you had that debate in Atlanta, and I think for most people who watched it,
the top donors were crying. This is what people don't know. They booked a VIP shuttle for us from. There's a VIP watch party, and everyone was staying at the Ritz-Carlton in Atlanta. People were weeping on the bus. They had the TDS, the Trump derangement syndrome, which I never really had. To that extent, it really set in hard. And the finance chairs, their faces were like stone. They were devastated. Then you had Jen O'Malley Dillon calling an emergency meeting. I've never said this on air before. An emergency meeting the following morning in the basement of the Ritz-Carlton, telling us that essentially we shouldn't believe our lying eyes. Biden is fine. Wow. He's totally fine. It was just a bad night. It was a cold.
Oh my God.
And then someone in the room asked, okay, but what if, is it possible to push him aside? Like, can he be replaced? They lied to us. They said they couldn't. Obviously, eventually they did. But they lied to us that day to kind of just like keep the situation from unraveling even worse.
Wow, but just settle on down. Nothing to see here. Not Joe Biden unable to actually form like full sentences.
Dreaming it. It didn't actually happen. Wow. And then Jen O'Malley Dillon a few weeks later invited us on a private call and said something I will never forget. And Lara, you're a fellow, fitness, extraordinaire.
Yes. Well, I
and
try.
I'm a marathon runner. So, and she had the gumption to tell everyone on that call, it was like 10, 20 people, Joe Biden is healthier than all of you. Wow. And it wasn't a joke. She said it like, with a serious face. I was like, this lady is just off her rocker. Does she think we're stupid?
Well, but
are you kidding me right now?
To me, I feel like someone had to be orchestrating that. There was some directive that had to be given out that was like, here's what we're sticking with. When anyone questions, is Joe Biden okay? You say, yes, he's healthier than all of you. I remember hearing them say, yeah, Joe Biden's like running circles around the interns in the White House. He's great. Yeah, like none of us believe that. But for me, as someone who was looking at this from the outside, from the other party perspective, the moment they decided to switch out Biden for Harris, and obviously they pushed Biden out. There's no doubt that there was some deal that, Nancy Pelosi and Obama, they went in and they said, we're going to embarrass you, essentially, is a lot of people's guess, unless you resign and you say, I'm not going to.
And I'm telling you right now, that's not a guess. You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Because I actually reached out to Pelosi before I went on air asking Biden to step aside. And Adam Schiff was part of the conversation. Oh my God. Yeah. Obviously,
That guy's part of a lot.
I can't do something like that without conferring, I would have been exiled. And so I had people's permission. I went on air demanding that he step aside. I didn't realize that he would put Harris. Like, I didn't realize that was going to happen. I thought we were going to have a lightning primary where perhaps my governor, Josh Shapiro, is fairly moderate center right. I would have been able to live with that. As opposed to a far right, a far left San Francisco progressive.
Well, and it's also one of those things, Lindy. It's like, okay, the way that the system is designed in the United States is that we, the people, get to choose our representatives. And whether that's, your local school board official or the president of the United States, there needs to be some vote for that person. And to not have any sort of primary, I think that shocked a lot of us, that they were like, nope, we're just plugging Kamala Harris in. And then the fanfare around her and the excitement around her, obviously it fell on deaf ears. Obviously no one bought it. Obviously they spent far too much money on trying to make Kamala Harris happen. It wasn't going to happen for anybody.
Stop make fetch happen, right?
Yeah, exactly. Stop trying, because it's not happening. Here's my question. I feel like we're in this really unique time right now. We have Donald Trump really actually delivering on so much of what he promised on the campaign trail in rapid succession. I mean, this is every day. There are so many things going on. It's hard for even me to, I can't even keep up with it. I think most of us are like, what happened today? It's crazy, but it's good crazy, because it means that we're getting transparency. We're saving our taxpayer dollars. We're ending wars. We're shutting down our border. We're bringing manufacturing and jobs back to this country. These are great things that are happening. And yet you have the Democrats still kind of doing the same old thing and trying the same old party tricks. Mm-hmm. Are they ever going to kind of find their way back? Do you think what needs to happen for that party to actually start to resonate again with the American people? Because as far as I can tell, they're just sticking with their guns and they're going hard on the same crazy that lost them this past election.
And Lara, you're right. They are so screwed. I just can't believe that they elected a guy who looks even more anorexic than I do, David Hogg. Like, come on. I'm very, as you speak with me, you know that I will pull no punches. The guy looks like, a kid. And we found out over the weekend that he was essentially using the DNC list for his own personal gain, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars. Didn't we just have a conversation? Didn't I just come on, guys, didn't I just tell the world that you guys are a fraud? And you're doing the exact same thing. And this is a guy who wants to defund the police. Yeah, okay. And then abolish ICE and abolish the Second Amendment. This is not what the American people want. And they're doubling down on it. And Jamie Harrison, who, by the way, attacked me on X for raising questions. He called me a narcissist. Like, come on.
Well, Jamie Harrison and I would love to have a conversation with him, because when I took the job as co-chair of the RNC, was elected into that position, he had a lot of very nasty things, Lindy, to say about me. There's only one of us who's got W's across the board after we were in charge of our party. And it's not Jamie Harrison. I'll leave it there. But go ahead, Lindy. What else do you need to say?
Oh my gosh, I loved you before. I love you even more. He is absolutely a narcissistic, unqualified hack. He failed his way up. He got clobbered by Lindsey Graham, but he got that DNC chair job because of his friend, James Clyburn, and then refused to move to DC to do his job. So we could be here a day and just dissect how awful this guy is. But it's just... he publicly humiliated me when I just wanted to ask questions. This is the type of leadership the DNC has. And now they essentially re-elected 50% of the leadership that they just had. They've learned nothing. And I do want to say, 2 weeks after election, Jamie Harrison makes a speech and he's like, I disagree with the people who say that we got to move on from identity politics, because I wake up every morning and my skin is my identity. And so we got to double down on this. And I'm like, you've learned nothing.
No. Yeah. Well, you know what, Lindy, I say to them, good luck. If they've learned nothing, then maybe that's better for the country, because Republicans will win in the midterms and win in the next presidential election. And if that's the kind of thinking, usually you come back to the center whenever you've gone so far one direction. But if that's how they want to play it, then I say good luck to them. Final question for you. There are a lot of rumors out there about what Kamala Harris is going to do. One of them we hear a lot about is her potentially running for governor of California. Now, I have suggested that the people of California, God bless them out there, they have been suffering under the hand of Gavin Newsom. It's terrible. They all want him to go. I'm going to say that a Republican will be the next governor of the state of California. Do you think Kamala Harris takes a crack at governor, though? What do you think she does after this? What does one do after such a humiliating and embarrassing loss?
So I'm still friends with people. Like, she's no longer speaking with me, and I understand that. But I am still close with certain people in her circle, and she is very much angling for that role. The
Wow.
problem is the person who's a current front runner is a personal friend of hers, the lieutenant governor. So she basically has to betray her friend to run for governor of California.
Well, she betrayed Joe Biden, so that didn't seem
Exactly.
to be
So
much.
it's not going to be a hurdle for her. But the bigger consideration is she wants to be president. So the turnaround time for 2026 and 2028 is basically nothing. It's like barely any elbow room. So
Do you think she's going to run for president again?
she thinks she's going to. The delusion is so strong in that one.
Wow.
And everywhere she goes, she's in that bubble. But did you see that clip of her going to the game and no one would even look at her?
Yeah.
Did you see that? That was really pathetic. And then juxtapose that with like photos of Trump. Everyone wants a selfie. It's just completely night and day.
Man.
And I just want to say, with all due respect, Kamala, go write your book or whatever you're going to do. Leave the American people be. Just go. Enjoy. Like, right? She's made enough money. Just go off and ride off into the sunset, you know?
For some, it's never enough, but in this case, I hope it is. I hope we're done here. If you look, nothing would be better as far as I'm concerned than a Democrat primary between, I don't know, maybe Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris. I would love to see those two on a stage. That
But
sounds
honestly,
like
she should run in 2028 because we'd be set. We
Yeah.
could just go off on vacation and the
See?
election would be over, you know?
Well, let's see what she does. Lindy, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show today, chatting with me a little bit, but also just being brave in what you're doing, because I know, like you said in the beginning, this has been very tough for you. It is very hard to have a different viewpoint than you've had for so long, to have the introspection it takes, I think, to actually say, this isn't working and I can't be a representative of this. I can't support this anymore. It takes a really big person to do that. So kudos to you. Yes.
I've known that you are a wonderful person even before our conversation today. You were kind to a friend, Evan Barker.
Oh, Evan's great. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and so I knew that you are as kind and radiant as you are, you know, on TV, you're amazing, but behind closed doors, you are the same.
Thank
I
you.
found that like months ago. So I just want to let you know, like, the amazing stuff that you do, it's heard around the world, and we recognize that. We appreciate you so much, and thank you so much for having me.
You are so nice. Thank you. Wow. Well, Lindy, I appreciate it. Before I let you go, where can people follow what you have going on? Where can they follow you online and stuff?
I'm just Lindy Lee on X, but they should follow you. I'm guessing they're watching. They already are. I followed you, and thank you for keeping me, you know, on the right track, not only politically but also athletically. So
yeah, girl.
In many ways, I don't know how you do it.
I don't sleep enough. I got one of these Aura rings. It tells me I don't sleep enough. So I'm thinking of trashing it. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. You're awesome. Thank you. Be well. Keep fighting the good fight. And there's always a place for you on this team from now until forever. So, Lindy Lee, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining us.
God bless.
To everybody at home, as always, make sure you